on Tiny Home Simple Life. We are going to attack this stove that, if you remember right, was avocado green inside. So let's take a look at it. Now, as you can see, half of it has actually been primed and the other half has not. So the first step in doing this is to hit it with some Windex, which we have done, and then we're going to clean it. So the next step would normally be to use a Scotch-Brite pad like this, but as you can see, on this finish, it doesn't touch it. So since it's a baked on finish, we need to use sandpaper. And the sandpaper we're using is 400 grit, and that is just so that we can put a rough surface on here so that the paint can attach. So I don't know if you can see this on film, but if you look really, really close, you can see how it roughs up the finish a little bit. So we are going to do that for the whole top of the stove, and then we'll be priming it like the other side was primed. So inside the camper, you can see there's a little bit of a difference. I've started doing some more painting of these doors and the walls and the cabinets and the drawer fronts. There's a lot of work still to be done in here, but it's coming along. The floor is going to be replaced, so that's why it's not a big deal that it's that dirty. It's going to be swept out very soon. However, those little specks down there on that floor are actually something called Downy Unstoppables. It's a air freshener product that also is a deterrent for little critters, and no one wants little critters in their camper, so I leave it down there. And I've been checking out different fabrics that are going to be a potential mix for inside here. So that's why there's stuff on the beds. This obviously doesn't have a cushion on it because I've got supplies on it. Another thing that I have worked on is this Shasta emblem, and if you can see, it is pretty shiny now. So that is a technique that a body man showed me from Rat Shack, and it works absolutely wonderfully. So I'm doing that with all of the chrome pieces, including the wings on this trailer, so that we can make them shine a little bit and look a whole lot better. So it's a hot day here at Tiny Home Simple Life, and I am in the camper, so it's a little hotter even still. But I have exciting things that are happening today, and that is around the stove. So let me show you what I'm doing. So next up, I have these beautiful simulated glass tiles, and these are actually treated so that they are fire retardant, so they can go up around the stove. So this section up here, I just prepped so that I can put them up. And I took off the cover for the gas light here, and noticed that back before they painted over it, it used to be marble, which was kind of cool, and I might have left it there had I known it was there, but now it's going to be nice and colorful, and these tiles are going to go up next. So next, I have started to put in the tiles in the area that is going to be used as a bathroom in Esmerelda, and it's a very, very simple product. Let me show you. So this is the product that I'm using. It is available on Amazon, and I will provide a link to you in the description. And it goes up really, really easy. It's just a peel and stick, and it goes on the wall, and it looks just this beautiful. And to look at it from far away, you wouldn't even think that it wasn't tile. So I am going to put that in this area that is going to end up being the bathroom area in the camper, and make it look like it's a bathroom. And up above that is going to be the electrical. But in this part of the area, it's all just going to be bathroom area. So that's what I'm working on today. So now it's time that we start measuring for the curtains. So follow along as I start with the kitchen window here, and we'll work around the camper. All right, here we go. So this is the fabric I'm going to use on the kitchen window. And the first step is to see how much I need. Well, first for the length, which we've got plenty of room at the bottom for me to hem it. But we want to make sure that it fits around the rod. So I've got some pins here, and I am going to pin it in place so I can just bring it into the sewing machine and whip it right out. Curtains are actually remarkably easy to make, a lot easier than you'd think. And I'm going to mark these, and then we'll have to take them apart so that I can trim up the edges. And then we'll put them back together in the same way, and voila, it'll be done. And then they'll be installed in the camper and be permanent. So isn't that pretty cool? Now I'm going to grab the other fabric that matches. So first, I will take this one off of the rod, being careful to keep the pins in place, and then replace the rod and put the next piece on. I hope this inspires more people to make their own curtains, because it's a really cool thing to do. And then we'll match these up for length when we're at the sewing machine, so that they'll look cohesive when they're on the window hanging together. But in the meantime, we just want to rough in how much space we need, because all the rods are different sizes. These are cafe rods, so they really don't need a lot. And that's by design, because I really didn't want to have to hem them up that much. What I did is I bought what's called fat quarters, and it's 1/4 yard. And a lot of people will use them for quilting. But since the camper windows are so small, they actually work really well for curtains for the camper. And the other great thing about the fat quarters is that they tend to be extremely inexpensive, and you can buy them anywhere. I got these particular ones at Walmart, and they were like maybe $1.25 each. So it's really, really cheap compared to some of the curtain prices out there. So definitely look into this. You can do this with any sewing machine. You could hand sew them if you chose. It's really, really easy. All right, so let's continue. For these back windows, I chose a sheer fabric, and these were also from Walmart, and they were 2 yards for $2, which is very, very inexpensive. And as you can see, 2 yards is a lot. So I plan on doing the back 3 windows here in this sheer fabric, and probably making them a little wider than they need to be, so that they will offer more coverage. So basically, these are going to be a lot wider than the window, but they're going to go down the same length as the cafe rod, which, as I said before, is really not that far. But if you can see, this is much wider than the window, so it's going to offer a lot of coverage when it's basically doubled up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to double up the fabric here so I can demonstrate that to you, and it's just going to offer a little bit more privacy than standard sheer. I just wanted something really light for the window, and maybe I'll update them over the course of time, but for now they're just going to be sheer. And if you can see, that's offering quite a bit of privacy and diffusion for the light. And they're a lot longer than they need to be. So I can probably actually get away with 2 windows out of one of these, which means it's basically $1 a window, which is pretty darn good for a price, isn't it? Which it really can be. It can be, look at that, perfect length. So one of these will do 2 of the windows, which is pretty darn awesome. So let's see what we can do with the back window. So the back window is a bit wider than the other ones, but I don't believe that it's any longer, or not longer by any big stretch. Let's see how this looks in here. I'm going to just drape it over the rod and see what we get. So basically the same length is going to do for back here, except I'm going to use a whole piece for the back here because it is a wider window, as I said, and we will get a lot of diffusion that way. And if I have to, I can always double up because I bought 3 of these. So I've got enough for both of the side windows, and I have 1 extra after I do the one for the back window. So the other thing I found is these. Now these are strips. They're made for craft projects. A lot of people will make little banners with them. So when they have a piece of really nice rope or ribbon, they'll take these and they'll tie them one by one on there and make a cute little banner. What I'm going to use these for, and they do have rough edges, so I'm going to have to trim down the edges, so that I'll do that and I'll clean them up on the sewing machine. And basically that just involves folding them over and sewing them down. And what I'm going to use these for is tie backs. So when I have the curtains on the window and I want it to be open, I can just put these on and I'll have a place for them to tie back on the wall. And see how cute that is? And it offers a little bit of contrast to the curtain, and it opens everything up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do when I'm at the house. And I have to figure out which ones that I want to use because I have quite a few designs here. So I have the one that I just showed you, which is a little dark. I have these ones here, which are a little too matchy-matchy, so I don't think I'm going to use those ones. And then, let's see what else we have here. I've got these ones that I think are going to be the ones. And they are just a little bit less dark than the other ones. And they're less matchy-matchy, but they're still nice and bright. If you can see that. I think that those are probably going to be the ones I use. What I might do is I might make a couple of sets, and I'm torn between that design there and these ones here, which are also very pretty. If you can see what those would look like. So I don't know which one I'm going to end up using, but I do need some for the kitchen and for in here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 windows to do, and I have plenty of strips to do all 4 windows. So I might use these ones on the kitchen windows because they are a little darker and heavier. So I'll probably make the tie backs for the kitchen windows out of these, and then all the other 3 windows, I'm going to use these. And so I'm going to bring you to my sewing machine and I'm going to show you how we do this. All right, here we go. So here we are inside, and I'm going to start on this one here, and I'm going to start by trimming the edges, and then we're going to go from there. All right, so let's get started. So as I said, first we're going to take this pin off of the end, and we're going to replace that after we're done with trimming the edges. So I either start from the bottom or the top, depending on which side is going to be the shortest side, and that's the side that I face into the sewing machine. And make sure that you are putting inside to inside, because you want the seam to be that way. You drop down the foot. And I always go forward a few stitches and then backwards. And that will actually lock in the edge so that it doesn't come loose. So if you didn't know that, now you do. All right, let's get this sewn. So that's 2 sides done. Now I'm going to trim these little threads at the end, because I like to do that as I go, and that's less likely to get caught up on another stitch somewhere. So I always find it best to get rid of them when you're thinking of them. So now we need to trim the bottom. We just line it up and do the same thing as we did on the other side. Except I go a little bit thicker on the bottom than I do on the sides. It's just by design. So here we go. There you have it. So now all we need to do is fold over the top. And we have a measurement here for how long we're folding over. And then I just pin it and we're good. Alright, so as you can see, this is all pinned. And then we'll just get it started. And as you can see, I pinned them up far enough that I can get all the stitches in next to them. And now that carton is complete. So I'm just going to trim these little threads at the edges like we did before. So we don't have any extras. And then I'm going to take out all the pins and any little frayed edges that came out. So now we're going to do the same thing with the other side once I take these pins out. So I'm going to follow the same process on the other cartons, and right now I feel like it's probably a good idea to make a tie back so that you can see just how it's done. Alright, so let's get started. Because I think I want this to be half of its width. So I am going to sew this in half, and we're going to make a big long tube. And then we're going to fish it out from the end. So in order to do that, we are going to have to do the edges first so that they look finished at the end. And I want to cut away all these frayed edges because they just get in the way. Alright, like I said, we're going to cut away these frayed edges because I don't like them. Cut away the extra threads, and now we're going to make the column. So we're going to fold this in half with the outsides out because we want the seam to be on the inside, and then we're going to put it in our machine and we're going to sew it together. Now, what we need to do is we need to put this inside out, which can be a tedious process, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So we're going to fish this out little by little until the whole thing comes out. And like I said, it is a tedious process. But it will be worth it. So I'm going to work on this and I'm going to come back as soon as I'm done. Alright? And like I said, we're just fishing the inside to the outside. We're turning it inside out. I don't know if you can see that on the video. But I'm taking the inside and I'm pushing it through. And then it comes through the outside and we just have to do it little by little. Alright? So the final product looks like this. So we have one little strip, and if you have the curtain hanging, this will tie the curtain so the wind won't have it whipping all over the camper. And it looks pretty at the same time. Alright, so we'll hang them in the camper tomorrow, and I'm going to get started on the other ones. So I have one more tie back to do for this set, and then I'm going to start on the shears for the other 3 windows, and the process is the exact same as these curtains right here. So I won't bore you with watching me sit here and sew. And what we'll do is I'll when I go in the camper to hang them all, I will bring you with me. Alright, now it's time to test out these curtains. So we're going to start out with the kitchen ones. Alright, let's start. These are the cutest curtains ever. So we just slide them right onto these cafe rods and they will hang here nice and pretty. Look at that! How cool are those? Well, let's try them open now. How cool is that? All right, now we're going to try these tiebacks. So these are the ones that I was thinking of using for these. And look at how cute that is. Perfect, huh? These are the shears on the back window now that they're hung up. Look at that. That's how they're going to look when they're hanging there. Pretty cool, huh? Back window. But I like them. I think they're going to work perfectly. I can't wait to hang them up permanently. Alright, so that's it for now. And I will be back very, very soon. I hope you like the curtains. I really, really, really like them. I think they look perfect in here. And it's getting really, really exciting to see this coming together like this. I mean, look at that kitchen right now. Doesn't it look so much more homey? I am really, really, really excited. This is me, Angela, coming to you from Tiny Homes Simple Life. Goodbye.